You're welcome to my Father Taught Me series, Volume 5, Series 19, titled Humanity Died in the Lens of Worldly Driven Net Worth. Yes, just as humanity lived forever in the lens of heavenly driven net worth. What a paradox. Let's start as usual by breaking the title Humanity Died in the Lens of Worldly Driven Net Worth into two components. Component number 1, humanity died. Component number 2, in the lens of worldly driven net worth. So, with number 1, humanity died. Humanity died the first and second death once there is the loss of essential human values like love, kindness, compassion, and morality, which is the essence of creation of the soul man, who was directed according to the commandments of the Most High to love his neighbor as himself, which love was emphasized in the book of Matthew, chapter 20, the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 37 to 39. Christ said unto him, Thou shalt love the Most High, thy Creator, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Everything about creation is about love, even in the presence of hate. As long as life is managed from the lens of heavenly driven net worth of humanity, then humanity is destined to live forever. Come to think of it, wherever there is love, life flourishes with excitement, in line with the commandments of the Most High. Whereas, wherever there is hate, life is destroyed of everything that is lively. Humanity is destroyed thence from the lens of worldly driven net worth that defied the commandments of the Most High in favor of the commandments of the devil, which is full of subtle serpentine hate rather than love. Life thus is quenched under the circumstances of the serpent in sorrow rather than joy. However, there is no hiding place. There is no hiding place from the day of judgment of the Most High, who will reward every single person on earth without omission according to the works of his doings. The judgment accordingly for those that unrepentantly defied the commandments of the Most High, there shall be gnashing of teeth as stated below in the book of Luke chapter 13 verse 25, 27 to 28. When once the master of the house is risen up and hath shut to the door, that is for judgment, and ye begin to stand without, that is, you are locked outside, and to knock at the door, that is, you are knocking at the door from outside, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us. So you are knocking from the lens of busy worldly driven net worth. And he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not whence ye are. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence ye are. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity. Workers of iniquity simply mean those who defiantly go against the commandments of the Most High. Then the verses continue. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth when ye shall see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of the Most High, and you yourself thrust out. Thrust out means shut out from the heavenly driven net worth kingdom. Humanity in physical science circles is also regarded or known as Homo sapiens. However, once there is the loss of the stated human values within the commandments of the Most High, summarized as love, kindness, compassion, and morality, the leftover of soul man called Homo sapiens finally dies the first death. Which death is the physical disappearance of Homo sapiens from his allotted time and space on earth, or potentially as a result of natural disasters, or self-inflicted retribution of destruction, occasioned by loss of essential human values of love, kindness, and compassion while in the business of earthly driven net worth, which results in the sin of the first death spoken of in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verse 4. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Which death was more of a terrible reflection of activities within the lens of worldly driven net worth in terms of consequences, to be followed by the second death clearly described in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and warmongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars in the name and lengths of worldly driven net worth shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Then number 2, the lens of worldly driven net worth. This is defined as one who, within the mindset perspective of self-delusions, embark on an overload of efforts outside the commandments of the Most High, which natural consequences are dead ends of dead works, and that end up in hell. Whereas the lens of heavenly driven net worth is defined from the mindset perspective of one embarking on the righteousness within the commandments of the Most High, which rewards are described as everlasting life, the fruit of the heavenly driven net worth, stated in the book of Romans, chapter 2, verse 7. To them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality, eternal life. The above was also emphasized in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 5. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by the Messiah Christ. which salvation through Christ becomes the watchword of eternity in the precious lens of heavenly driven net worth. Hence, humanity died in the lens of worldly driven net worth. Now, let us address the subject matter of MFTMS, My Father Taught Me series presentation for the day under Series 19, titled Humanity Died in the Lens of Worldly Driven Net Worth. Beloved brethren, humans were created from a humane-driven spirit called soul man, whose survival is fully reliant on the manual of life called the commandments of the Most High, the only guarantee for eternity as fully presented in the Holy Scriptures. It is worth noting that the only guarantee for the survival of humanity on earth and unto eternity is in keeping spotlessly the commandments of the Most High, which no one could keep, including Adam, Eve, and their seed up to the present generation. Now, let us reflect the above situation from World Situation Report from the lens of worldly driven net worth. From the lens of the worldly driven net worth, humanity has forced itself to embark on the missions of earthly driven network only at the exclusion of the heavenly driven net worth. This ambition started from the nucleus family of the society to the leadership of nations, swimming in the euphoria of mutually assured destruction literally, boosted by the earthly driven net worth. Such actions have led to nations forming mischievous alliances of allegiance, bounded by the earthly driven net worth idolatry of Mammon, the god of money, and the commander-in-chief of Babylon world order. Victims are made to think they possess unstoppable, enormous power from the lens of earthly driven net worth, hoping in their illusions to control exclusively humanity of the world by wielding the power of earthly driven net worth to whip the nations of the world in line and in compliance with their ways, made up of deceitful alliances of contentious axes of evil, which are diametrically opposed to the only source of peace called or named the commandments of the Most High. Actually, what do we expect? Of course, we expect the unleashing of war, self-destruction of unimaginable scale, the lowest of bestiality that man can descend to in man's actions of wars. How else can one explain the following under the United Nations organization, the supposedly most powerful organization and enforcer of world rules and order in the world, where independent nations and their sovereignty with regards to their international boundaries are violated with impunity, and the world moves on without sense of enforcement of justice and equity? I mean, Russian invasion of Ukraine, a sovereign nation, and the needless, unwarranted killings of over 2 million of souls. And over what? Let us imagine the amount and life destroyed by both parties. If they were invested, if such amount were invested on improving the lives of their sovereign citizens, it could have been a great positive development on the sides of both sides, including the lives lost of over 2 million people that would have been saved alive today to enjoy the gift of the Most High, cut short by the ambition of very few. The countries of the world under the United Nations organization have failed itself and capitulated under some few new axes of tyrants spread across the world, supported by the mammon god of money, with a common purpose of playing gods over the lives of humanity according to the resolve of the lens of earthly-driven net worth, with his false hope of perpetuity forever. They failed woefully to learn from history, even from the greatest empire of mankind that have ever existed, called the British Empire, as at a time. Today, it is all history. And so shall it be to the world's powerful nations of Babylon axis of world order, flexing their muscles to devour their weaker neighbors, just to mention the few top-notch and not limited to the following. Number 1, Vladimir Putin, through Russia to Ukraine. Number 2, Xi Jinping, through China to Taiwan. Number 3, Donald Trump, through America as America first before the world, to the extent of having his eyes on Greenland as the 51st state of United States of America. I sincerely beg these mortals of men to remember history through the lens of the horrors of World War I, War and World War II, and now what World War III would look like. As you continue to reign from the lens of earthly-driven net worth, of which you may be allowed as mortals to behold for a limited short time, and you shall answer the call of death, owed by all mortals, including the leadership of all nations of the earth, including every individual born of a woman, even at the level of the nucleus of the society, that is operated under the earthly-driven net worth of mortals, as stated in the book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 7 to 8. It states, "But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O the Most High, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations." Let everyone understand and note that we all share as mortals these crazy attributes of the earthly-driven net worth, without the fear of the Most High, our Creator, who gave mankind the manual of life and peace, called the commandments of the Most High, which admonished us to cooperate in the business of the heavenly-driven net worth only, which heavenly-driven net worth is full of love, kindness, compassion, and charity, according to the commandments of the Most High itself. The only way that guarantees and converts life's mortality to immortality. However, if all the world leaders in their rights insist on the earthly-driven net worth acquisition at the expense and spilling of other people's blood in their crave for war of attritions to dominate the world of the material things of the world, find below the shock that awaits everyone with that type of heart, centered on earthly-driven mindset, even in their dreams to conquer the world that they did not create. I have news for you. The Most High, the Creator of heaven and earth, have this to say to the world on the spiritual eve of World War III, as recorded and foretold in the book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 15 to 21. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that washeth and keepeth his garments, meaning those that keep the commandments of the Most High, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts. And the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the width of talent. And men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. But the Most High in his magnanimity and benevolence and love provided himself a once and for all sacrifice for our redemption, through Christ the Messiah, who fulfilled spotlessly on our behalf all the requirements of the law, known as the commandments of the Most High, as stated in the book of Romans chapter 5, verse 12, 14, and 15. I quote, Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. But not as the offense, so also is the free gift. For if through the offense of one many be dead, much more the grace of the Most High, and the gift by grace, which is by one man, the Messiah Christ, hath abounded unto many. The above salvation is made available to the repentant souls through the righteousness of Christ, who has kept spotlessly the commandments of the Most High, as simplified in the narrative of Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 to 40. Master, which is the great commandment and the law? Christ said unto him, Thou shalt love the Most High, thy Creator, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. In fulfillment of the above, the book of Peter have this to say also. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 18 to 21. For as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, that is in the spirit of the worldly driven net worth, but with the precious blood of Christ, the Messiah, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, who by him do believe in the Most High, that raised him up from the dead, and gave him glory, that your faith and hope might be in the Most High. May our faith and hope be in the Most High through the righteousness of Christ. Amen. My name is Steve Emmanuel Mojugbe, a messenger, an author, a Nigerian, mftmseries.com. Copyrights reserved. And remain blessed.